You know, One Lifers, I have believed personally for a very long time, and I've said on occasion that I believe every Christ-following person, if they are able to at all in the course of their lives, ought to go on at least one cross-cultural mission trip. And there's lots of reasons that we'll share, but kind of in this format, we just came off one of those. And Josh and Natalie here were on a team of 11 people that went to Paris and Belgrade, and just want to interact about the impact of those things. And so, Josh, the first thing is when you were approached and you were asked to go to Belgrade and Paris, what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the best way to start the interview, but my first thought was, why in the world would we go there? I had many experiences with missions and cross-cultural work over the years, and everywhere has been places in Central Asia or in places where it was a third world kind of component. When you hear Paris, you're like, okay, well, is this a vacation or is this something else?
Exactly, and that's what everybody out there is thinking too. You're going on a mission trip to Paris. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we travel. But once you did, you both went, when you arrived at either one of these places, what surprised you? You probably had that thought about the vacation thing and all that, but what surprised you? What impacted you, Natalie?
The predominant religion in Belgrade is Eastern Orthodox. And it's a Christian religion, but I was really surprised by this weird thing that they call themselves Christians, but if you try to talk about Jesus or talk about a personal relationship with him or anything, they kind of are like, whoa, are you a part of a cult or something? So they consider themselves Christians, but yet the idea of Jesus is completely foreign to them. I was really surprised
Yeah, we heard
by
that consistently. Wherever we went, that was kind of a thing. The personal relationship thing seemed extreme almost, but still the label was there. What about you, Josh? What surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, when we got to Belgrade, Serbia, I am thinking immediately I'm going to see something to the effect of a third world component. And it wasn't that at all. It feels like a developing Eastern European city, which is what it is. There wasn't this huge humanitarian need that kind of hit you upside the head. That was different. But what did hit you right away is the loneliness that people experience is tangible. They didn't have, they weren't connected to purpose or meaning, and as you started to talk to people, it just felt like there was an emptiness that I hadn't experienced anywhere else.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to point out in that context that why go to Paris and Belgrade. And Uncharted was founded, and actually Josh was one of the people that helped found it originally, to go to places that people don't normally go to reach people for Christ, whether that happens to be developing country kind of things or places like this, because the real objective is to introduce people to Jesus globally. And what we saw, the humanitarian need was not there physically, but it was there emotionally and spiritually and everything else. So on that, Natalie, what impacted you personally? When you go on these trips, especially this one, what was the takeaway that really got you kind of in your heart?
We had the opportunity to sit down with a church planter there named Igor, and he had been addicted to drugs and had been delivered from that and planted a church about 5 months ago there. And as he talked to us and the dreams that he had for his city and the dream that he had of bringing Christ to these people who were just living without any hope, even the things that he said, I don't even hardly remember so much as I remember his passion and his love for the people of his city. And it was truly like a reflection of the love that Christ has for us that just oozed out of him. I was just wrecked by it.
I remember that moment very well because our entire team, we debriefed at the end of the day. We all had that same thing of not remembering what he said, but remembering how he said it. And everybody, that's one of the main reasons why these trips are so important. You get to have experiences like that where you get to see Jesus working in a completely different part of the world that you're not used to. And that's incredibly refreshing because they're not going to show you that on the news, but God is working all over the world, and it will encourage your faith. It gives you a sense of this thing is a whole lot bigger than just my small little world. It also helps turn these people in other countries from just being news stories to being real people. And that's one of the main reasons why we want to encourage you. I have this dream, I guess you'd say, of everybody at One Life at one time or another going on a cross-cultural mission trip. You can do that here in the United States. You can do it overseas. And if you're really, truly interested, which hopefully you will be, you can ask your campus leaders about how to do that, how to take next steps.